Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Theory. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the founder of SMC National, where we help level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can get the new patients that you want and so you can grow. But it gets hard to grow when you don't have a PMS that serves you for your growth. Today, I have Mike, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of Planet DDS, and we're going to be talking about cloud versus on-site today. And this is really, really exciting. He's actually going to tell you what DSOs are looking for when they go to buy practices and how long you're going to need to have things in place for them to want to buy you for more money. And there's a little thing called tech debt. You're going to want to learn about this. It's going to impact you. And if not today, tomorrow for sure. Stay tuned.
We offer a real serious business solution, but it is not the most simple solution out there. And it is not the strongest solution on the clinical charting side. But when it gets into the business of dentistry, RCM management, scheduling, operations, it's an incredibly strong solution.
Dentists would probably rather do just about anything else besides change a PMS. There's only so many people every single month that are even like at the point that they would change. And usually it's driven out of pure frustration and hate for their current provider because they can't do the thing that they want them to do.
If you look at all of the players that are in the space right now, everyone who was doing on-premise server-based software now has a cloud solution. So if you stop and you think like, okay, I'm that business. Where am I going to invest? Where am I going to put my resources? It becomes a very kind of complex scenario where the writing is on the wall that on-premise server-based solutions at some point will likely just not be improved.
Before I hit recorded, we were talking about my favorite subjects, which was Bitcoin and Cybertrucks, but that's not what this podcast is about. So we're not going to talk about that. We talked about it off air, which Mike and I had some fun conversations around that. But Mike, why don't you tell us how you got into the dental industry?
Yeah, so I've been in dental now for almost 5 years. And I had no aspirations of joining the dental industry. It was not on my radar as a career path that I would take. So about 10 years ago, I got into technology, got into tech sales, and I started working with startups in San Francisco. Worked initially as an account executive. I was doing restaurant point of sale solutions. So kind of like what you see with Square or Toast all over the place. The company was called Revel Systems. It was iPad point of sale. So I fell in love with tech. I fell in love with technology, with software as a service. Got to watch that company grow from 70 people when I joined to around 650 when I left 3 years later. Went to another early stage startup. That was
a really cool company, by the way. That company was really cool.
It was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome. And for me, I joined as a sales rep. And within 3 years, I had 6 sales managers and 60 sales reps that reported to me. And I had the opportunity to open an office in Dallas and in New York and in Phoenix, and had never done any of that before. So it was a really incredible experience. And I kind of fell in love with tech and software and technology sales at that point. And then I went to an early stage startup, wanted to scale again. It was a self-service kiosk startup company. Worked there for a couple of years, scaled that business, and decided it was a little bit smaller than I wanted to be in. And I started to get recruiting calls. And actually somebody reached out on LinkedIn. They're like, hey, do you want to join this dental software as a service business? It's all cloud. I was like, dental? I don't know about that. I don't know anything about dental. And I started to learn a little bit more about the industry and kind of the interesting inflection point that the industry was at and the conversion to cloud and kind of the laggard adoption of cloud technology overall with at the time 5 years ago, it's probably 18% of offices that actually moved to a cloud solution. And then in combination with the consolidation with DSOs and groups, the influx of private equity money, the roll-ups that were taking place, it just seemed like this industry that was really ripe for disruption from a technology perspective. And all of those factors played a part in me deciding that, yeah, let me go join this organization. I joined Planet DDS. When I came on board, I had 2 sales reps that I inherited. One was doing DSO sales. One was doing solo sales. We had one person in marketing. It was his first job out of college. And that was the sales and marketing org for Planet DDS circa 5 years ago. Fast forward to now, we're 10 times as large from a revenue perspective. And we've got 55 employees in my organization. And, we're doing a lot of cool things. We've done 4 acquisitions. So now we have 4 brands, Denicon, Legwork, Cloud9, and Aptrix. And, our niche really is selling to multi-location groups and DSOs. So that's my story.
You've probably noticed this before, but this podcast is unsponsored. What that means is we don't get paid to do it, but we want to bring you the best information possible. So how do we make sure that this content stays on the air? We need you to like and subscribe. Wherever you're at, whatever you're listening on, just give us a thumbs up or subscribe, and that helps us out so much. I know that you probably haven't done it, so I'm just going to sit here and wait until you do. 95% of our listeners have not subscribed to our podcast, so go ahead and do it now. Don't make this awkward. All right, good. Back to the show. That's awesome, man. So I know you guys are cloud-based, right? So why did you say, okay, yeah, I want to get into cloud and stay in cloud? There's obviously a ton of options, right? When it comes to PMSs. And then I'll also say this, because I've done a lot of podcasts on this. Dentists would probably rather do just about anything else besides change a PMS. So it's 100%. I know you probably know these numbers better than me, but there's only so many people every single year, every single month that are even at the point that they would change. And usually it's driven out of pure frustration and hate for their current provider because they can't do the thing that they want them to do. So why are you where you're at doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so there's a lot there. So I think I'll just as a general premise, the kind of history of practice management software in dental and how it came about. It went from paper and then now you become digital and you've got these on-premise server-based solutions. Everybody knows them, Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental, very, very ubiquitous. End up having an enormous market share between just a few small players. And then there's probably another 50 kind of more boutique products that are out there that different people use that were just kind of crafted by smaller companies and put out there. I would say that what the initial purpose of the practice management software was to let you run your business. It was not necessarily to help you run your business. It was hey, let me install this. It's going to keep track of all of these things, but it's not going to proactively assist me and doing things that I need done in order to drive more patients into my practice and to let me really stay on top of things. And with the cloud kind of solutions that have come on the marketplace, there's a much more focus and much larger focus in offering a comprehensive solution and providing innovative solutions, both through integrations with other third-party best-in-class software solutions, but also kind of native to the software itself, whether that's the ability to two-way text with patients, whether it's the ability to do native automated recalls and reminders, or whether it's hey, I have somebody that just canceled. I need to fill this place on my schedule. Can I just click a button and have a message sent out to anybody that's eligible to fill their appointment and get a call back so that I can take care of that right now? So there's been a lot of innovation that's taken place in that space. I just find it super exciting. To your point, though, it's painful, and it's always been that way. And there is a prevailing view that it's the last thing in the world you want to do is do a conversion. And while I think all of the companies that are offering cloud solutions have put in a ton of time and investment into making that better, it still requires change management, and you're not going to get all your data sent over. And so you're going to have to manually enter a lot of stuff, and you're going to need to deal with the training and everything else. But I will say, I think we're at the point where if the scale is the pain you have to go through versus the outcome that you receive from implementing the new technology, we're at this point where the outcome is so strong and so beneficial to what a practice can expect that it actually does create this compelling desire to start to move and implement a new solution.
Love that. Okay, so here's the way I think about it. The on-site PMSs, they are what they are, right? So you get them, they are what they are. There's changes here and there, but largely you're going to get what you get. With the cloud stuff, it's kind of like Tesla. I don't know for our audience, if you don't own a Tesla, Tesla's really cool because it's like a computer where I get pushed updates and it makes my car faster. It makes my car better. It adds features. It adds cameras. I already had the cameras there, but it adds angles on the cameras. I don't use rear view mirrors anymore because the way that there's these new updates, I get better range when they get updates. Yep. I get better map functions. My car gets, I know for a fact, because I've owned a lot of Teslas, over time, my car gets better and better and better and better because of the updates that they push to it. Is that kind of like how cloud is for a PMS, that you guys can push updates? And let's be honest, technology's changing really fast with AI. and everything's like that. Is that how it works, or am I kind of off base on that?
No, you're definitely not off base. So with our solutions, we have new releases every month. Every time a new release comes out, it is accompanied by additional features and benefits that a practice can take advantage of. You don't need to do anything. It's just available now within the software. There's no, let me download and install this new update. Let me run this new patch. Let me, use a disk drive or something if they're using really ancient software to go ahead and do that update. So it happens without there needing to be any intervention on the part of the practice themselves. So that's a huge benefit, but it actually goes deeper than that. And that is, if you look at all of the players that are in the space right now, most everyone who was doing on-premise server-based software now has a cloud solution. So if you stop and you think like, okay, I'm that business. Where am I going to invest? Where am I going to put my resources? How do I allocate my my R&D budget? It becomes a very kind of complex scenario where the writing is on the wall that on-premise server-based solutions at some point will likely just not be improved, or they'll be improved so slowly you just don't see anything, because all of the companies actually want people to move to a software as a service solution. It's better for the practices and it's better for the business itself because it allows you to have that continual innovation that you wouldn't get otherwise.
So if I hear you correctly, everybody's going to end up on the cloud eventually.
I mean, look, I look at examples in other industries. When I was with selling POS solutions, restaurant and hospitality, we had a partnership with Intuit. Intuit's QuickBooks, as everybody knows.
And just for everybody, so POS, I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Point of sale solutions.
Point of sales, which is like basically like the PMS version for like retail.
For
when
retail,
you go into the
yes.
coffee shop and you buy with your credit card, that's a point of sale. I think
100%.
I don't know if dentists don't really use their POS, their point of sales the same way that everybody else does.
Dentist uses their practice management software, should also act as a point of sale for them. So you should be able to take your payments.
So you worked in the industry before that the point of sale was kind of like the PMS. That's the point
Correct.
that you're making.
100%. Yeah, it's like your mission critical core system of record software. And we worked with Intuit, which is QuickBooks, and they have QuickBooks Online. They also have QuickBooks Desktop. QuickBooks Desktop been around for forever, but it's still around. So like the transition of like, will you not have a choice to use on-premise? I don't think that that's going to happen for a long time, but I will tell you that the difference in functionality and features and what's availability is going to dramatically you're going to have this very disparate scenario where if you are still using server-based solutions, you're not going to be able to take advantage of anything close to what you get if you were using a cloud solution.
Got it. Okay. So eventually everybody's going to be forced to go in. It's kind of like almost to the point where it's like digital records versus paper record.
Correct.
Are there still offices out there that have paper records? Yes. I was actually walking by somewhere and I looked in their window and I saw all of their charts on the wall and I was like, oh, people still do that. But there's not a lot of them. No. Right? There's not a lot of them. So what's the timeline until everybody's cloud or 80% of people are cloud? Or like
I think a lot of it aligns with the timeline of the consolidation of the dental space. So, I've heard numbers thrown out there like, hey, 10 years from now, 75% of practices will be associated with a group. I don't know if it'll happen that fast. I think that it's been estimated for quite some time that the consolidation would happen quicker than it actually does. But if you are a multi-location group, it's incredibly painful to be using on-premise server-based solutions. So I think that's going to accelerate the adoption of cloud even more so than the actual feature disparity set that you're going to get with on-premise solutions versus cloud solutions. And so as we continue to see the consolidation of the space and more DSOs formed, more small groups expanding, that's typically one of the qualifying events for somebody coming and buying Denticon software, to be quite honest, is new private equity investment, new private equity ownership looks and goes, how are you reconciling data across 6 different solutions across 15 different offices? How are you gaining any kind of economies of scale? How are you getting any efficiency with your teams? You have to teach your RMs 5 different software solutions in order for them to even know how to use this. The data points are all different. There's no data rationalization. Even if you throw something on top of it, it makes it very, very hard because the way that different PMS systems actually report on their data is different as well. And the ability to extract data varies dramatically across different solutions. So it's, they look at that and they say, standardize, please, because this will allow us to have a fixed cost solution that is scalable for us, that creates a future-proof solution that we don't need to worry about replacing that actually adds enterprise value to the practice. And that's generally probably the biggest qualifying event that takes place that results in us selling our product to a new group or organization.
Got it. So your answer is the faster it consolidates, the more the big guys are going to use cloud because they have to really be able to do the things that they need to do. But if it stays single practice, things like that, let's pretend really the consolidation just stops, then it's going to be forever. Cloud might, because is there a huge benefit to like being a single practice and moving over to the cloud? I'll ask it that way.
Yeah, it's a great question. And so I think there are. It depends on what your setup is within a single practice. So if you're using an IT provider that is charging you a monthly subscription to back up your data, that's, looking to come in and, sell you a server that is of a large capacity due to your data storage needs, you can move to cloud. You don't have to worry about any of the server piece. Like, you still should have a server, to be honest. Like, that I think is a popular line to throw out by some cloud providers, but the server does so much else, from password management and workstation management, that goes beyond just the storage component of it. But I think if you're an individual practice, you have the ability to use less resources from a hardware server perspective, use less resources from an IT perspective. You can reduce costs there. You don't have to worry about the change management of the software over time. And you're going to get a whole slew of additional features that likely replace other costs that you have within your practice as part of just one single subscription. So there's cost benefit, there's kind of time and effort benefit, there's IT benefit. So it's not just the notion of it being in the cloud that provides the benefit.
Ooh, that's a really good point. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So then, all right, our audience is like this, like 3 to 5 location, wants to scale to 100, right? They want to grow. People aren't listening to here that don't want to grow. So this guy that wants to grow and grow their practices, they have 3 to 5. They haven't made the move over to cloud. Make a case for moving to cloud. And then I'm going to ask you the same question, make the case to move to Planet DDS, but just give me the case to move to cloud to begin with.
Sure. So first off, the ability to access your data from anywhere at any time is incredibly valuable for somebody that is managing a multi-location, multi-clinic operation. If you stay server-based, you're having to use all these different tools like LogMeIn or something else in order to like log in and see the data. So data rationalization across all of your practices, being able to scale by training your team to use the same solution so that you don't need to train against different solutions, saves you and becomes incredibly efficient for a practice that has 3 to 5 offices. And then that visibility, and not just visibility, but control. You have the ability to set roles and permissions across your practices, who can see what and who can do what within the systems and from where, which is important. So if you have roles within your office that you don't even want to have access to the solution when they're not actually working in the office itself, you can go ahead and limit that to only allowing access outside of the office for your leadership team or somebody else. Any sort of small, medium-sized group is likely going to use an accountant. Hopefully they're using an accountant. This gives them the ability to provide that access very easily to their accountant. And depending on the software that you're using, you can extract the data very easily for tax purposes and otherwise. And then as you're looking to scale, you need to have in place a foundational solution that easily allows you to add on new locations and that will be able to almost replicate the setup that you have currently, and that can convert from any other data solution that you're using if you're doing an acquisition model. And I think that, all of those pieces, separate and apart from the ability to replace some of the other key software components that you're likely already paying for, are a lot of the kind of compelling reasons to move to a cloud solution.
Good job. All right. Now, why Planet DDS?
Yeah, so it was actually hard for me to answer that last question and separate out items that were not directly related to Planet DDS in my answer.
That's why I told you beforehand, because normally that's just when I say, hey, why cloud, then you're going to talk about Planet DDS. I just wanted your case for just cloud as a standalone. Now we're going to separate that out. And I'm mainly saying this for the audience now. I know you get it, but for the audience, absolutely. Now you're going to tell me why would I go with you guys, Denticon, rather than all the other cloud options? I mean, there's tons of them.
It's a great question. And so if you're in the 3 to 5 location market, every single cloud provider says they can work with you. That's just the way that it works. Everyone plays in that market. It's the most competitive space. We call it our commercial segment, 2 to 19 offices. Then we turn into enterprise when we go 20 plus. In that segment, cloud means multi-location. But in the broader industry, cloud does not equal enterprise. So you actually need to have functionality within a cloud solution, like some of the roles and permissions that I spoke about, like the ability to toggle between offices, like having a single patient record, like having a database that allows you to extract your entire data on a nightly basis. All of those features and functions are part of what Denticon offers. And so it goes beyond just the ability to see everything from anywhere at any time. And it actually gives you significantly more control in how you run your practice and what you can do within your practice. On top of that, if you do have a growth mindset and you do believe that cloud is the direction that large groups and enterprises are going to go, the likelihood at this moment in time, if you have an exit plan where you want to sell to a larger organization, that you get acquired by an organization using Denticon, if they're using a cloud solution, is higher than any other solution out there. So out of,
say that again.
So Denticon has the largest cloud footprint amongst the DSOs in the market. So we have dozens of groups, over 20 offices that are using our solution from a cloud perspective. There's not another cloud solution in the market right now in that segment that has as many clients. So if you're going to be acquired by one of these rapidly growing DSOs, the odds are higher if they're using a cloud solution, that they're using Denticon, and at which point it makes an easier transition, easier acquisition. You add value to your practice at that time as well. And so there's that component.
And the longer you have that in play, I'm just going to make an argument on your behalf,
sure,
and you can tell me if I'm wrong. The longer you have that in play, because if you do that a month before you're going to sell, you're just going to have a poop storm on your hands, and it's going to be really confusing and hard. But if you had it in place for the last 10 years, and then you go to move there, everything's going to be very clean because you've already had that foundation and everything's been very consistent. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And so a couple other things to add. When I say that cloud is not enterprise, with Denticon, the way that we handle fee schedules, you can assign them out across practices and providers. It's not on a per location basis. It's actually a tiered fee schedule method, which as you grow and you have to continue to enter in additional fee schedules, the way that it's handled inside the Denticon solution is significantly more streamlined, saving tons of time compared to what all of the other cloud players do as it relates to the way that fee schedules are handled. On the RCM side, that's really why we win business, is the RCM teams dive into Denticon. They're like, oh my gosh, this does far more than we see anywhere else. The challenge is for us, just being transparent, is if you're 3 to 5 locations, you're likely clinically led today, and you are building this group or this organization. And if you are led by the doctor owner, you are the doctor owner. We've done market surveys. It's what first priority is, does it look pretty and is it easy to use? We offer a real serious business solution that, yes, we've redone our UI, and so it looks better, but it is not the most simple solution out there, and it is not the strongest solution on the clinical charting side. But when it gets into the business of dentistry, RCM management, scheduling, operations, it's an incredibly strong solution. And so that's why if you look at the last 35 deals that we were in that were over 20 offices, we won 30 of those 35 deals. And that's amongst all of the providers. But when you dig into our solution as a business solution, it's a really compelling offering that allows people to run their business and to grow their business. And going back to what you just said, Gary, which I think is a great point, if we want to go sell our software business to a private equity group, they're doing their due diligence. Part of the due diligence is tech and tech debt. If you are using server-based software and you're using old solutions, you're trying to go to market, they're going to shave off valuation as a result of it. If you're already on a cloud solution that's likely going to be a cloud solution that's used by the larger groups in the space, you actually can get a premium on your valuation as a result. So there's something to think about. Same as selling a house. If you sell your house, you haven't done the kitchen remodel, you're going to get, a valuation shave. Same thing with your practice. You should think about those things when you're trying to build something and scale something in order to ultimately have an exit at the other side.
It's kind of like when you go to buy a house. You buy a house because you want to make it a home, but then you decide you might want to sell it in the future. So you can't put all these crazy things in you can't have the dolphin fountain in the living room
to tamp down your taste.
Yeah. It's like, I got a dolphin fountain in my living room, and it's awesome. I love it. And it's like, dude, you're the only person that wants a dolphin fountain in your living room.
100%.
It actually doesn't help your house. It actually hurts your house because the buyers are thinking, how much is this going to cost me to tear out of there? This is what the DSOs are doing. So the DSOs want things, they all want the same things because there's the same things work. So if you're planning on selling, this is the route to go. You did an excellent job breaking that down, not just from your company standpoint, but also just from a cloud versus on-prem option. So hopefully this is helpful to people. If someone wants to reach out and learn more about what you guys are doing, what's the best way to get in contact with you, Mike?
Just planetdds.com or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Cool. And then do this for me. You have a podcast too that you had me on.
I do.
What's the podcast?
Yeah. So I just launched a podcast this year. It's called The Dental Economist Show. And you can find it anywhere podcasts are available. Spotify, Apple, YouTube.
Awesome. Great job, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.